NBA is back, which means for you, I'm back. I took some time off during the off season, wanted to get some rest, relax. I took care of some personal things. And at this point, y'all all know me and the guys collectively went and took a jump in our careers, and we partnered up with NBC. And again, we've said it a million times. We thank y'all. We appreciate y'all, but we could not be in this position without y'all. So again, I want to thank y'all for all of the love and support over the years and over the last few days while we've announced our move. But with all that being said, we had basketball come back to us last night. We had the Rockets and the Thunder for their ring ceremony, and then to wrap things up, we had the Warriors and Lakers. I want to start on that first game. Emotions are high in Oklahoma City. You're raising that banner. We're seeing those beautiful championship rings. You got the entire team out there with the fresh jackets and everything. I enjoyed, from an NBC perspective, the production side of that. And I went on social media and saw the reception, positive for the most part. And we all know, as people who are on social media, it's very hard to get the NBA community on one accord and for everybody to walk away pleased with things. There's always some type of gripe or criticism, and I just didn't see it last night. So I love to have that type of start to the NBA season as well. Now, for the basketball, very entertaining night, especially in this first game. I mean, anytime you can have double overtime for the first game of the season, that's just cinema. That is perfect, and I think that's what every NBA fan is looking for out of that first game. There's nothing more disappointing than the very first game feeling like, just some BS, a blowout or a dud or something like that. I want to give credit to the NBA and the commissioner for putting together a game like that, where Kevin Durant on his new Houston Rockets team, a young team, is coming into Oklahoma City and watching them raise that banner and, show their championship rings. Him, Steven Adams, Jeff Green, all former Thunder players. I thought that was like very strategic and beautiful, almost like script writing. You know what I mean? Like, if this was a movie, that would have been a very great opening scene to the movie. And to see all of that transpire and then to actually get the game going, I think it led up into the emotions of this game. There were a lot of things to take away on both sides. First and foremost, we'll talk about the Thunder from one aspect. They're going to be a deadly team again. I think nobody is surprised with that. I think defensively, this team is going to always be ready to play. We're never going to see the defensive side of the basketball drop off for the Oklahoma City Thunder. This offense is going to have its moments. It's going to have its highs. It's going to have its lows. But defensively, they have found an identity that they're going to be relying upon. And I think in the regular season, you're going to get a more lax version. But I really think their dynasty and the window of whatever they're about to do for the next foreseeable future is going to be because in a 7-game series, the personnel that they have with the coaching that they have is going to be able to put together game plans to limit whoever they see as an opposing weapon, right? We've seen them against the Jokic's. We've seen the Anthony Edwards in the series. We just saw KD last night. Though it was a 1-game sample size, I thought they did a really good job with his situation. Alperen Sengun, he gave them everything they can handle. But again, that's why I say in those 7-game series, I would trust them in their personnel to take that as a first game and then make the proper adjustments for the next 6 games that will potentially be played. So I see that. I don't think that that's ever going to go anywhere. I don't think you ever have to worry about what their defense is going to look like. Offensively, there are some things that can get disguised and hidden a little bit because they do have the reigning MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is just a certified bucket. You saw the clip of him from the Starting 5 Netflix series where he was saying like 30 points at this point is a bad game for me. And it's a crazy mentality to have. But I just watch how easy it is for him to get his shit off. And even that last shot that I believe sent it into the first overtime, or maybe it sent it to the second overtime. It was such a long game and a lot going on that a lot of it was slipping my mind. That shot is such a tough shot to be relied upon. And to see him go to that down the stretch with the game on the line. And I don't really think people at home really grasp like the NBA side or just basketball in general. You're never going to get just the most beautiful look in the mid-range. The mid-range is such a tight area to play into, right? Which it kind of goes against the pace and the space area that we are in the NBA unless you're on a perfectly spaced out team. But when you look at how the Rockets were playing Shai, and you look at how hard they were gapping up on a Lou Dort, and gapping up because Isaiah Hartenstein is out there and he's not necessarily a knockdown 3-point perimeter player. A lot of those windows were tight for him, and the Rockets did a lot of zone looks, right? They did a lot of shading and having multiple bodies be there so that his gaps wouldn't be open and he wouldn't have driving lanes. And there were certain stretches of the game where you did see Shai settle from three. I took note of that. Like, man, some of these shot attempts Shai is taking were very lazy. But when it came down to delivering, when the team needed him most, he always found a way to get to his bread and butter, which was that mid-range shot. And it ultimately helped them win that game, again, without J-Dub, which was an even more impressive win for them to be able to do this without their kind of co-star. But I think that segues and transitions into another talking point for OKC in last night's game. The way that Chet came out and played in that first half was amazing. And I believe that that's going to be the version of Chet that we see on a more consistent basis. J-Dub had an incredible year last year. And I think a lot of the conversation and attention shifted towards him because of how great of a year he had, rightfully so. But I do think some of the gears are going to change a little bit, and people are going to recognize, again, how dynamic Chet can be as well. At his size, being able to move the way he moves and make and take some of the shots he takes, it's almost, if you squint hard enough, Kevin Durant-ish. He's not Kevin Durant. He's not Kevin Durant, but just the shot making and the way that they're going to be able to utilize him offensively off of a Shai and off of a J-Dub, I think it's just going to unlock a level of offensive performance that a lot of people forgot or never knew Chet was capable of. And then when we talk about the defensive side of the basketball, we know what Chet's going to do there because, again, like I just said moments ago, this team collectively just has an identity defensively that you don't have to really worry about with any of the guys or them as a unit. So I loved the way that Chet performed. Obviously, in the second half, it wasn't as explosive in the first half. That's going to happen. That doesn't concern me at all. Fouled out in the game as well. That's going to happen at his size, at his position he plays. I don't think we have to worry about too many issues of him fouling out, but it will happen during the course of the season. Specifically for the Thunder, staying with them for a moment, they ran a lineup last night that I was very intrigued with from the production standpoint. And it was A.J. Mitchell, Alex Caruso, Aaron Wiggins, Chet, and Ihart. I believe that unit played 20 possessions and scored 18 points in those 20 possessions. I believe they shot 75% from the field. That little 5-minute, small sample size, but that was one of the most productive 5-man, rotations or units that they had in last night's game. And the reason I'm so intrigued with it is because if they're going to be able to have production like that while Shai is on the bench, it only leads to my point with this, the sky is the limit with this team. There's no telling how far they're going to be able to take this quote unquote dynasty or how scary they're going to be in just this particular year. We can just keep our attention on this year. I don't want to overuse the word dynasty for OKC. Let's take it 1 year at a time. But coming off of a championship, relatively keeping the same roster and seeing more growth in a lot of these players, I am looking at those type of things. How they're going to be able to sustain when Shai is not on the floor. How they'll be able to adjust with J-Dub missing a certain period of time, which honestly really shouldn't be a question because we saw them not have Ihart and Chet for extended time last year and still be able to be the team that they turned out to be. So, I don't want to overlook into things for the Thunder, but we have to. You know what I mean? It's just what we do in the landscape of the game, and things change so much. And I feel like exclusively over the last 4 or 5 years, we did this team is going to go on a run. This is a dynasty. And we kind of overlook certain things. Like, I remember the conversation with the Nuggets where they won one and we felt like they were going to be able to win one, another one out of the next 2 or 3 years. And they hadn't, or they haven't. Same thing with the Celtics. The Celtics ran through that 1 year and we felt like that was going to be the norm for them, and they didn't. And now their entire roster has kind of changed relatively, since the last time they won the championship. And so I don't want to make that same mistake with the Thunder of just like writing them into being in the championship and everything. I want to make sure I'm checking every single thing that they're doing and finding the ways of how they're going to be better, convincing myself on who's growing in certain departments and keeping my eye on, certain guys who are going to have bigger roles. And this team may get a little expensive, so there might be some guys going out that we've gotten accustomed to seeing. There may be some younger guys on smaller contracts getting more opportunity. There's a lot that's going to go with this team over the next few years. So I want to make sure I'm dived in and locked in on every single thing they're doing. But that was one of the biggest foes for me of last night's game, was watching a 5-man unit like that without Shai comfortably be able to execute. And I thought A.J. Mitchell was really good. Cason Wallace was phenomenal as well. I mean, the amount of ball pressure he was able to put on the Rockets. And just the Thunder from that perspective alone, to get back to the defensive side of the basketball, I don't know if it's a collection of both, and I think I am going to favor into both. But there is a lot of uncomfortable situations for the Rockets when you watch them. Tari Eason is not a guy who handles the ball, very well. Neither is Jabari. But the Thunder made that very glaring. They made it extremely glaring that these guys are not guys that want the basketball. They're not used to having the basketball. And it almost made a couple of plays and possessions, especially with Tari Eason, where he almost panicked. And I love Tari. That's my guy. But in a few instances of this game, when he got the basketball, it felt like he did not know what to do and he wasn't comfortable. And a lot of that came from the pressure that OKC put on the others in last night's game. I got to give credit to Sengun. We got to give credit to Kevin Durant. I even want to give credit to Amin Thompson and Reed Shepherd, because we made a bunch of jokes on Reed Shepherd, right? But to be thrown into the fire, that's his real first NBA in the fire type of moment. Yeah, he's played before, but on ring ceremony, a big night, they're dependent on him now. Last year, preseason, summer league, it's just him kind of going out there with house money. Now Fred VanVleet is out for the year. That takes his responsibility up through the roof. They are dependent on Reed Shepherd. His progression kind of is now sped up a little bit. And again, we joked on him, looking, dribbling past Kevin Durant a bunch of different times. But I will say I did admire some of the guts and the balls that he had for some of the shots he took, for the confidence in himself and in his ability to make some of the decisions he made. Were they the right decision? No. That's the most obvious thing we could do, is sit up here and say, Reed Shepherd, get Kevin Durant the ball a little bit more, or figure out how to get Sengun the ball when he's literally putting a team on his back for certain stretches. No doubt. And I think a lot of them outside of Reed Shepherd struggle with that. I think Amin Thompson had moments where I wanted him to just get the ball to Sengun and let him continue to cook and operate because he's got something going. You know what I mean? There was plenty of times where I saw other players have the basketball, and I'm like, just get the ball to Kevin Durant or 28 and space out and make something happen. And, again, I instead of harping on that too much, I do want to point to some of the positives with Reed Shepherd. He wasn't afraid to shoot the basketball. He wasn't afraid to put the basketball on the deck. Now, some of the things that I will say, I do think he has to get into the mind of a point guard a lot more. I think Amin Thompson has to do the same exact thing. I think both of those guys came into the game, or in certain moments in this game, they were playing point guard, but they weren't thinking point guard, which is why they were able to get the ball in transition. And the first thing they didn't do was look at Kevin Durant. The first thing that was like the rim or what they wanted to do. And I think part of the development of being a point guard is understanding that it's not that you can't ever call your own number. It's not that you can't put pressure on the rim or put pressure on the defense by being a scorer yourself. But it's recognizing that Sengun is basically unstoppable right now. He's a walking bucket. Every time he touches the basketball, good things are happening for our offense. Having that awareness, knowing you're playing with Kevin Durant. So now the game is getting gritty. The game is getting down to the wire. OKC is locking up and they're playing championship level basketball. We got to figure out how to get the most of every possession we have now down the stretch. And I feel like some of the inexperience and the youth showed in the Houston Rockets from that fourth quarter into the multiple overtimes. And obviously, Amin Thompson had the cramps or whatever and wasn't able to play as much as we would have liked in the overtime. But again, I still think some of those things were evident for him and Reed Shepherd. And going forward, I think these will be things that they're going to fix. I know we're in that overreacting mode right now because the NBA is back. We're so excited. We want to have a bunch of things to say. Reed Shepherd is not going to be playable. He's going to be they're going to figure it out. Like, trust me, they're going to figure it out soon. The next film session, everything that we saw, Ime and the staff is letting Reed Shepherd know. To the point where I might feel like I wouldn't be surprised if the next game we see Reed Shepherd passing that motherfucker too much to Kevin Durant and Sengun. And then they're going to have to tell him, hey, listen, we didn't say pass it every time, but like they're going to make sure him and Amen Thompson quickly understand. Because this team, with all of that being said, performed really well against the reigning champs. This is all. I know they didn't have J-Dub, but the Rockets are a brand new team playing a brand new brand, right? Because they're fully committed to this big ass lineup. They don't really have a natural point guard. They have not played with a guy of Kevin Durant's ability. None of these young guys where you legitimately do have one of the greatest scorers, if not the greatest scorer we've ever seen. They didn't have that last year. So, yeah, sometimes Jalen Green, you come up and he's on the wing and you can just go. It ain't like we have to give Jalen Green the ball every single time. Kevin Durant is that caliber of a player where the last 5 minutes, every possession, the ball probably for the most part should touch his hands. Probably should. But like that's just the reality. And I think it's a little different and it's going to be a work in progress for them. But with all of that being said, they competed. I thought they defended really well. I thought they have their own identity of the double big lineup and just having size out there at all times, being able to, take control of the glass. We saw the second, third opportunities. They paid off a lot. Yeah, the outside shooting is going to be something they're going to have to work on. But I will tell you this. I think it is a beautiful thing with a guy like Alperen Sengun. And I know a lot of people had things to say. And every time he has an incredible game, they're going to go on social media and act like I don't like Sengun or I hate him because I had him 8th on my center list or whatever. And even with me saying he won't be here for long, like I know he's going to go up, they're going to just act like I'm anti-Sengun. You're going to look at the box score, and you're going to see the numbers he put up, and they're going to be phenomenal numbers. But I think the praise to go even deeper with Sengun is him figuring out or even attempting to try and figure out a way to fit the team while still being effective like the way he was. So what I mean is he could have easily went in there and said, we playing double big and just stayed on the ends because, he's old school. He'll post you up, drop step, spin. He got all of this amazing footwork on the low post and the low block, and he is a terror, right? Like he had a bunch of moves where he was just getting Chet out the way. Chet was just too skinny and thin. He just moving him and laying. But the amount of threes he was taking, the way he was taking them, the confidence in which he shot the basketball with, and then on top of that, he was making them. He had the nerve to make all of those threes as well. But I thought that spoke volumes of him saying, okay, I'm aware. I'm aware that Amen Thompson is not a perimeter threat. I'm aware that Steven Adams is not a perimeter threat in the slightest. You get what I'm saying? I'm aware that Tari Eason, is going to be a streaky shooter. So for the sake of the team, I'm going to put myself in position to be a willing shooter. And not only am I going to be willing to take the shots, I'm also going to step up and make the shots. And I'm not just going to make 2 of them and then say, okay, I did my job. No, I'm going to shoot 7 to 8 threes because this is what the team needs. And I need OKC to commit to me as an outside presence. And if he's going to have that mentality throughout the regular season, I think that that's going to pay big for the Rockets. And I think the entire team is going to have to think like that. Hey, Amen Thompson struggled. He went 0 of 7 from 3. But again, the fact that he even took the 7, I appreciate it. Now, I'm still trying to figure out if I want him to shoot the 7, but if they're going to be giving him the corner threes, he has to take those. He did have a few where it felt like he settled. He brought the ball up. I get it as a point guard or as a guard or ball player in general. Somebody sets you a screen, somebody goes under. You're going to take the shot, right? And a couple of those he did have. But majority of those shots came from the wings. His teammates trusted him, and he does have to have the confidence to just catch and shoot. A couple of those misses he did have, he hesitated on the wing and in the corner. There was one of the possessions where he caught it, he dribbled, and then looked around and was open and then shot it. He's going to have to get the confidence to catch it and go right up into his jump shot. Jabari is going to pay big for this team down the long haul with his ability to catch and shoot. I felt like he came out to play really well, and I was thoroughly impressed with Houston. And I don't think it's time for them to panic at all after one game. I'm not going to overreact. I think there were some positives from every single player. The last thing I do want to say about the Rockets in this game and with Reed Shepherd, more so than the offense and, looking past KD, defensively, the Rockets are going to have to figure out who is Reed Shepherd going to be able to guard. Who is he going to be able to guard, especially for the playoffs? We saw them go after him last night, and they went after him and had a lot of success. But in the playoffs, they're going to make that their game plan. It's times 10 in the playoffs. He's going to have to figure out how he can guard and be effective. He does get some blocks here and there. He can be quick with his hands, get some steals in here. But, like, the whole whoever he's guarding set the screen so Shai can go at, or, they got to figure out something with that, because the Thunder in a lot of different possessions had their way with him when they were seeking him on the offensive end. So shout out to Cason Wallace as well. I believe I said that earlier. But a great game in general, and shout out to both teams for giving us a classic opening night game. Now for the for the Warriors and the Lakers, I will say it was like a come down from the first game to this game. I was still excited. It's still opening night. It's still Lakers, Warriors, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic. But that had us on 10. And so by the time I got to lock into the Warriors, Lakers, there was already about 15 to 12 type of score. And there was moments in this game where the Warriors kind of were running away. And that kind of still locked in, but not as locked in like that Warriors-Rockets game. That Rockets-Thunder game. That one was like 24/7 locked in. I had my notepad and my pencil, and I'm taking writing. This one was a little bit more laxed. But I will say a few things here. I'll start with the Warriors because I think they're going to be a little bit more short. Beautiful. Shout out to Steve Kerr starting Jonathan Kuminga. Shout out to the Warriors for empowering Jonathan Kuminga. He looked really good out there in the second half. First half, looked like he was, I don't want to use the word pressing, but he looked like typical Jonathan Kuminga. Then he kind of got settled in the second half, and he was guarding Luka. He was knocking down perimeter shots. He was being aggressive offensively. And one of the things that stood out to me, there was a possession where he caught it on the right wing. And he told Draymond to initiate the action with Steph Curry. He has the ball, and he's pointing to Draymond. Draymond's looking at him, or Draymond's telling him to use a screen. He's like, no. And he pointed to tell Draymond, set that screen for Steph so we can get this action going. And over the years, we've talked about Jonathan Kuminga having the athletic ability, having the talent, but fitting and molding into the system and being a part of that type of shit, having that recognition. And that spoke 1,000 words to me. And not only was he able to be the one to point it out, because that's usually Draymond or Steph's role in the offense. They're usually telling guys, no, go do that. To see him do it in the first game and the play resulted in him scoring was phenomenal. It was like a full circle moment where I think both sides could see he is making the concerted effort. And then for him to see, look, even when you buy into the play and the offense and the system, it ain't just for these guys to benefit off it. You can initiate this, or this can happen, and you can be the one to benefit. And that's exactly what happened. They went in. I believe Draymond did the off ball for Steph. It didn't turn into a shot, and then it automatically kind of went back into a split action on the baseline, and Kuminga was able to get like a little dunk or a finish. That's what it was. I think Draymond set a screen for Curry. Curry didn't have the shot that he wanted. He maybe threw it back to Draymond, and then Kuminga tried to set another screen for Curry, and he maybe slipped, and then he scored at the rim. And again, that to me was very beautiful to see. I don't know what the long haul situations are going to be between these two teams. Between these two partners. I don't know if this is a thing to get Kuminga some value to trade him. I don't know if this is, let's put that in the past. He's here now. Let's compete and win. But if they're able to allow Jonathan Kuminga to have some moments like they did in that game where he was able to just run loose and do him, and then he also in certain instances conformed to the system, this could be a good marriage. And I enjoy watching them. I thought defensively they were really great at making the Lakers extremely uncomfortable. I'm anxious to see them do it against other teams to understand how valuable they are there, because the Lakers also have a lot of flaws that I think makes it easy to make them uncomfortable. But I thought the Warriors are really good. Jimmy Butler, that's my favorite type of Jimmy Butler, where he is just determined to, drive at that rim and to make opposing teams pay. You putting Gabe Vincent on me, I'm taking him to the block. I'm shooting over him. I'm attacking him. I'm going at him. That was really, really good. And then Buddy Hield, Buddy Love off the bench, letting that thing fly. Really good. You didn't need Steph Curry to have some type of heroic performance. He's going to have plenty of those, and at some point he's going to be relied upon for that. But in these opening nights where you playing a team that you're better than, and they are better than that Lakers team, you want to have the game look that way. Yeah, the Lakers went on a little run at the end, and they kept clawing because Luka Doncic is that good, and that's what happens when you're on the road. And you get a little lax in certain moments, teams take advantage. And the three-point shot allows the door to always be open for teams who stay in the game. So, love the performance from the Warriors. And again, that is the Jimmy Butler that I want to see with the Warriors 24/7. That is the Jimmy Butler that I love. Now, for the opposing side, the Lakers, I don't even know where to start, man. There's so many things wrong over in Lakerland to start the year. And again, I don't want to overreact. It's one game. They obviously don't have LeBron James. But I look at some of the flaws, and I continue to tell myself, I respect the Lakers. I respect Luka, LeBron, JJ Redick. And so because of that, I think they will be a playoff team. I think they're going to find ways to win games. But to be the team that they want to be and to comfortably project them, it's hard. It's hard. You do it out of respect, but then you watch that and you look at this roster and you ask yourself, how can some of these flaws be covered up or fixed? And they can't. Yeah, DeAndre Ayton is not it. He's not it. And I'm hoping he can prove me wrong and change my mind, because again, it is just one game and he has to get familiar with these guys. There's obviously some gelling that still has to happen, especially with Austin Reeves and him. Austin Reeves had 5 turnovers, and I believe more than half were in the process of trying to get the ball to Ayton or working off of Ayton, and it just did not look good. The timing wasn't there. One of the first plays of the game, he's trying to throw a lob to, and I think that was a bad read from Austin Reeves. I also say that Austin Reeves had some very bad reads in last night's game that led to the 5 turnovers of his. But yeah, Ayton he's not punishing a team, and he's never been that type of guy, right? So when you're doing ball screen with Luka Doncic, Draymond and whoever else is in Draymond and Kuminga, they're comfortable with shading and put two on the ball to get the ball out of his hands, because they're not in fear of Ayton really dominating them on that roll or killing them. That's just not, that wasn't a thing. I saw 2 go to the ball a lot of times for Luka to try to get the ball out of his hands or to show and recover. And yeah, there wasn't too many times where Ayton is just punishing you for that, right? Ayton didn't even kill the glass like I thought he would. I thought that Ayton was going to be an easy 11 to 12 rebounds, and I believe he only had 5 or 6. A lot of jump shots in the fade, which we know that's Ayton, right? That's Ayton. That is DeAndre Ayton. And I just don't think that's the mold of center that the Lakers need or that Luka Doncic needs, if I'm just being completely honest. Then outside of that, you got guys like Jared Vanderbilt. And I love what Jared Vanderbilt can do defensively, but offensively, it's very hard to have him on the floor. And to be honest with you, as a viewer, it's very hard to watch. I'm talking about sitting in the corners and just airball. I think his first 3-point shot didn't even hit the rim. And so when you watch Reeves and Luka and you see them without LeBron and you understand the amount of offense of load that they have to shoulder, it's such an uphill battle. It's going to be an uphill battle because that's going to be the game plan of every team, is to constantly put pressure on Luka, make him bring the ball up, sometimes even put 2 bodies on him, heavily play into the gaps off of the Vanderbilts. They're going to make Marcus Smart knock down shots. And the Lakers are going to have to rely on the Rui Hachimuras to knock down shots. And Rui, who is capable of knocking down 2 or 3 threes, he's not a sharpshooter. His shot can be streaky as well. And he's not a guy that makes teams scramble. You know what I mean? Teams, if they're going to have to decide between leaving Rui with a couple of open looks or putting 2 on Luka, they're going to put the 2 on Luka, and they're going to live with Rui Hachimura knocking down a 3 or 2. That's what the Warriors did last night. That's exactly what the Warriors did. And so I look at that and I look at the minutes, without Luka and what they were trying. It's impossible. And there was a certain moment in the second half where Luka was gassed, and you had to. I don't even think JJ wanted to take him out, but you had to. You had to. And I think Luka does not realize how much energy he exerts with some of the extra stuff he does. And it's not even me to complain or telling us to stop. It's whatever. It's just a Luka thing. But he exerts so much energy, huffing and puffing and doing this with the ref and all. He does. He like the amount of offensive load he has to carry. I just think that he got to stop. I think he got to stop. And maybe it's me overthinking. Maybe I'm thinking too much of it. But he has a reaction to every fucking play that happens. He has some type of reaction he has to make. And again, I just don't think he has the the ability to do that with the amount of workload that he has. One note that I'm going to end on. LeBron James' body language on the bench was interesting. I love LeBron, and I know that everybody analyzes and like psychoanalyzes everything LeBron James does, and I'm not trying to be one of those people right now. But to begin the game and some of the runs that the Lakers, let the Warriors go on, it was nothing to cheer on. So I thought he was being stoic or kind of like mellowed out because it's like we getting our ass bust. We don't look really good. But then there was a couple of times in the second half and in that fourth quarter where the Lakers got within 5 and like Luka got and ones and the crowd was getting behind them. And I think Gabe Vincent maybe hit a 3 or Rui hit a 3 and they were getting closer and closer. They were within arm's reach and it looked like the Lakers had a chance. And even in those plays, LeBron is just like, don't know what that's about. Didn't see too many people on social media make a big deal out of it. So maybe it's just me. Again, I'm not trying to be one of those people because I know, again, everybody is on LeBron 24 on his nuts and he can't breathe the right way. He can't walk. I'm not trying to be one of those people. But like, I don't know. At first I was like, man, is he in pain? But then I remember my mom dealt with sciatica. Like if you're in sciatica pain, he wouldn't have been on the bench. He wouldn't have sat on the bench. So just something that I want. Y'all let me know in the comments if anybody else saw that. I was texting a group chat and they saw it too. But again, I didn't see too. Like when LeBron has shit like that, people usually go to the timeline and create think pieces immediately. I didn't see any of that. So y'all let me know what y'all saw. If y'all saw that and what y'all think about that. As always, I appreciate y'all. 30-minute video with 2 games. We just opened night. We on 10, baby. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I will see y'all soon. I'm out. Peace.